guys, welcome back to another video of What If Morgan Stayed with Rick in The Walking Dead. So let's get into it. We start off by seeing Negan, who's still talking to Bob. And Bob would tell Negan that how him and his group were cannibals before this. And Negan would make up some weird jokes about it, but Bob tells Negan that the group Bob says when he was escaping, he saw this guy called Aaron and another guy called Eric take them to this place, but he had to leave because he couldn't follow them. And Negan's interested in this because that if he finds the group means more supplies for him to take from them. And Negan is interested in this, and he would tell Bob if he can take his men to the group and show where their base is, he can have earned himself a spot in the Saviors. Bob would tell Negan he knows the direction they went in, so he could take his people there, and then he can show the group's hideout. Like, he doesn't know it's a community, so he stay hideout. And Negan would make up some jokes for them to, get out or something. I'm pretty sure he'd do that. And he'd send 4 people, and those 4 people being Simon, Arott, and Gavin, and Bob. And Negan tells them to go find wherever the group are staying. And Simon would start screaming at Bob because they can't find anything. But then Morgan would aim his gun at Simon. And Bob says, that's one of the guys. And then from behind, Merle comes and aims his gun at Bob. And Daryl and Aaron are also there. And Simon tells him to just get on the ground and surrender. Arott would aim her gun at Daryl, but Daryl just shoots her to death. But then out of nowhere comes Negan, and he aims his gun, and he shoots at Morgan's eye, and Morgan's eye is destroyed. And Negan would start laughing, and he would scream at the group, and he'd tell them to take him to wherever the hell they're staying, before he puts another bullet in Morgan's eye. And we'd see Carl at the gates of Alexandria, and he'd see Negan with Daryl, Merle, Aaron, and Morgan, and Negan's with Bob, which Carl recognizes, and Gavin and Simon. And Carl would grab his gun and he'd start running towards Rick. And he tells Rick that this guy Negan, he's with hundreds of people, and he's here on their gates with Daryl, Merle, and Morgan, whose eye's out, and Aaron. And Rick, he's worried about this. And Axel tells Rick they have no other choice, because if they try to fight back, they'll probably die. And Rick would have to make the hard decision, and he surrenders to the Saviors, aka Negan and his people. And Negan lets the group know that they've messed up big time. And Bob would tell the group that they're all gonna die now, and or else they're gonna work for us in the grass like a peasant. But then Negan looks at Bob and he acts confused, and Negan would say, "Work for us? Work for me." And then Negan would pull out his gun and he'd aim it at Bob, and he'd shoot Bob till he dies. And Simon would laugh and he'd say, "He's going to do much worse to you. Don't you worry." And Abraham would look at Negan and he'd tell him that he's nothing and he can do nothing. He's just a broken little boy who's just taking his anger out on us because there's no one else to. And Negan would start laughing and he'd say, "Oh, really? Well, let's see what happens to you." And Negan gets out his bat Lucille and he looks at Abraham with it. And Abraham remembers all the good times with the group. And Negan hits Abraham in the head. And Abraham tells Negan to suck his nuts. I'm not being weird, that's just his last words. And Negan smashes Abraham's head into 1,000,000 pieces. And he calls Negan a coward, and he tells him to let him stand up and fight him to death. And he tells him he ain't going easy on him just because he has a baseball bat named Lucille. But Negan just shoots Heath to death, showing the group he's not scared to kill any one of them, and especially not even Rick. And Negan would say he wants half of their stuff, and he wants it per 2 weeks. And they will serve him, and they will protect him, and they can't. And if they try to act funny, you're all gonna die. And Negan tells them all to look at Morgan and asks, is he really scared of the group? And Negan would say that for anyone who doesn't want to follow the rules, he can show you again what happens if you don't follow his rules. Negan pulls out his gun and he shoots Oscar in the head, killing him because he looked intimidating. And Oscar, he's just dead, basically. That's kind of obvious, but Simon tells the group that's gonna happen to all of you if you don't follow Negan's rules and obey him like he does. Negan would step in and he says, I don't need you talking for me, but I appreciate it. And then he'd look at the group and he says, I'm pretty sure I made myself clear now what's going to happen if you don't listen to me. And Negan tells his men to take whatever the hell they want and just get out of here with half of their stuff. And Negan would walk away with a couple of his men in a car. And Negan leaves laughing. But guys, that will be it for today, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed, and bye-bye.